back. Welcome to the Smart to Noise Ratio Pro Audio Podcast, where it is business time.
It is business time.
And it is business time because...
It's Wednesday night.
And you know what Wednesday night...
Wednesday night means it's business time, and I'm down to just my socks.
That's why they call them business socks. That's all we're going to do, because I feel that we've already encroached on some copyright issues.
Yeah.
Anth wanted to have the Flight of the Conchords just rolling in the background, but TV in the background of a recording never ever sounds good, so I made him shut it off.
And we'd be wildly distracted.
It would just be an hour of us watching Flight of the Conchords.
Which, if you haven't watched,
pretty funny.
Yeah, look that stuff up. It's if you're watching this, you'll enjoy it quite a bit.
If Tenacious D were from New Zealand and all about hip hop.
Yes. Not all about hip hop. They got some David Bowie covers in there and some bubblegum pop and some good stuff about a girl with a lazy eye.
So there's that. And this is actually take 2 of podcast number 23, because 2 weeks ago when I was here, Anth was so tired and I was so sick that we tried a podcast. I think we had to stop 4 different times for various reasons. Coughing spells, someone delivered hamburgers, which that was awesome, honestly.
Oh, that one didn't go to air?
That wasn't a cut. No.
I thought it was the time after that, because the time after that, you got over and I think we watched 5 minutes of a baseball game and everybody crashed.
Yeah, the laptop was never open that night.
I don't even know if you brought it in.
So no, we already had one in the bag at that point. I ran that one,
right.
And then I ran the one that me and Chach did coming home from Pittsburgh. Ran it without listening to it, actually, so that was sort of a leap of faith on my part. A couple people listened to it, and I guess we'll find out if they come back.
Shall we slap Chachi now?
I did most of the talking. You know how it is when he and I get together.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're back. The purpose of tonight's podcast, I think we're going to sort of just do a review. May not sound terrifically exciting, but I wrote some responses to a bunch of different reader and listener questions that had come in. One from our buddy Nate, who helps us out a good deal. We know him IRL, as the kids say.
The hell does that mean?
In real life.
Oh, wow.
Damn
you know, like
in the physical media? Like, not like cyber knowledge?
In meat space.
Wow.
Meat, that sounds a little gay.
Yeah, a little bit.
In meat space.
I guess you weren't cyberpunk when you were in
What
college.
is this? It's a gay club. We're starting to listen to
No, it's like flesh and blood. You know, meat.
You're not helping at all.
No.
It's a family show,
You should
as we
stop
always
now.
say.
It was-
All right, stopping.
it was a family show
stopping now.
before
So
John
anyway,
started
Nate, that we
talking.
know in real life, also our good friend Ike from Germany, who actually we really got to see about getting that guy on Skype and getting him on a podcast.
Definitely.
Because why not? It's like we talk every day. It's like we're the best of friends.
You talk more than me and John do.
Yeah, I was going to say, I haven't been here in, a month?
I have more contact with Ike than I do with my coworkers some days.
Is that bad?
No, I have great coworkers.
I didn't mean coworkers. I mean,
Oh,
there are some days when talking to somebody in another country might not be so bad as opposed to answering certain work questions.
we're in such frequent contact that it's almost like the time zone difference doesn't even exist. So anyway, hats off to Ike and greetings. I should have taken my wedding ring off. I can hear it clanking against
Against your morality?
against the microphone.
Oh, that too. All right.
Oy vey. We really do try to keep it a family show.
Who's family?
As we say that, I'm going to open up the bag of dip.
Dip away. Oh,
Being as though I haven't been here in a while, are we still antagonizing Anthony about being Jewish?
it comes up a time or two.
Okay.
We try to hit on that at least once a show. John's been taking care of that duty for a while. I haven't said anything.
He hasn't had, it's been no work for you. I try to make things
Right.
easy.
Yeah.
So anyway, that, and then gentleman, first-time writer in named Liam, wanted to know about loudspeaker placement, and for some reason wanted to do math for that. So we'll get to that.
Oh, man. This sounds
Can you
like
hear the-
calculus and such.
Wait. Jewish?
Can you hear the eyes rolling?
Oh, hang on. We have an accountant.
Oh, balance your books and make your shit work good. Math.
And I forgot there was another one. This was
I'm going to
actually,
change my pants real quick. Heard about math.
Did we talk? We talked about this on the
There goes that
podcast
family show.
on the podcast that didn't air. We did talk about the other guy that wrote in, whose name escapes me right now, and I don't have access to the internet from where I'm sitting. But guy that wrote in about, no, it was Richard maybe, wanted to know about learning recording.
Oh, boy. There's a few topics.
All right. you forget you're off mic? Oh, it's silly. You're just silly. Sorry, we do. It's been a long poll, folks. I've been sick. It's been 2.5 weeks now.
It's been a long poll. You're still not helping out with the gay thing.
Oh, no, he is not.
My boss listens to this. Will you cut it out?
He pays me too.
And me on occasion.
I have to dig up the 1 kilohertz test tone to censor all Anthony's.
1K so painful. Choose like 600.
I'll split the difference and go 850 with you, but that's as low as I'll go. It's all right. Anyway, the reason we wanted to bring all this up and rehash it was to get someone's opinion other than mine. And I don't know, it was always interesting to me when I was learning stuff and asking questions to hear a couple bigger dogs than me talk about stuff. So if you're a bigger dog than us, feel free to call in and correct us on stuff if we're getting it wrong. Or don't, because our self-esteem probably can't take it this week.
Yeah, next week. Hold it. Well, actually, Christmas is coming up. I got depressed the first time this year about Christmas coming up today. I saw scripts and tech writers, and I'm not. Today was a long day. But anyways, the guy about learning recording, his name is Paul Brannon. That we wanted to get to.
Okay, so yeah, hello, Paul. And that was long enough ago that I forgot what I wrote. Basically the same stuff we say here all the time. There's a ton of great stuff on the internet, but really the best possible thing is to just do it yourself. And he sounded like the kind of guy who was sort of coming from the music industry, so he's probably got a leg up. That
he was a promoter or something like that.
Yeah, so he's been around a little bit. He probably knows an XLR from a mic stand. So that's
could only hope.
You could skip maybe the entry level stuff, but yeah, the best. I mean, for $30 and a free download, you can get going in your bedroom and just try stuff. Learn mic placement, learn how to do gain structure, get things quiet, get things solid, play with compressors until you understand how they work. And all the better if you can get around people that already know how to do that stuff, because you can learn it even quicker watching somebody who's already made all the mistakes.
I actually, last Sunday at church, finally had, me and John had, I don't know if you were there, Gordon, but me, John, and Blake had a conversation before about how there are two types of church sound guys. The church sound guy, which we call the church sound weenie.
Ah, yes.
And then after 10 years, they get promoted to church sound douchebag.
Remember this.
Which category are you in, Anth?
I am a weenie bag.
Okay.
He doesn't have tenure yet.
Well, not employment-wise, but I've been... Anyways.
Not as far as the union hall is concerned.
Right.
We'll not talk about number 10. They don't know where I live yet. But I actually finally had a conversation with the guy that runs sound on Sunday mornings at the church, because I play. And he came up to me saying, he's like, the drums just sound awful. I was like, well, did you leave stuff where I had it set on Thursday? He's like, no. Well, why did you change? He's like, because that's not how I do it.
And why?
But why did you change stuff? He's like, well, because I wanted to have it set up the way I do it. I was like, well, what's different? I looked in. VCA was down to about -30. Every individual channel fader was at about +12.
Oy.
And master fader was down -15. So
that's how my console was my first day of mixing.
Right.
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
first
We did finally
day.
get that up to what, like -5 now?
This guy's been doing it for a decade.
Yeah.
Had a very nice conversation with him, actually, and for the first time since I've worked there in 3 years, even though when I got hired, I got put in charge of all of the audio and lighting and most of the video department, even though we pay a video guy in IT, whatever. Finally talked to him. I was like, listen, there's a steps type of system. You can't have your channel faders higher than your bus fader and have your bus fader higher than your master fader and expect things to turn out right. So I just flip-flopped everything real quick for him. Took about 15 seconds. Mix sounded 10 times better in less than a minute.
Did it register? Did it sink in?
It did. He looked at me. He's like, wow, I never thought about that. I was like, well, do you realize now why every Thursday when we have practice, I group things out? I do a kick, snare, bass group and drum group and guitar group, or acoustic guitar group, electric guitar group, key group, lead vocals, background vocals, choir vocals, and then everything else. Do you understand why I do that now? He's like, I kind of get it. So we're about a quarter of the way there for him, but it was actually nice to realize, or have him realize, that you can't just turn it on and go.
Yeah. So some progress. That's amazing. Those are the days you live for. Those teachable moments.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on. If you listen to the podcast much, you'll know that we're all about just learning by doing. There are some really good books out there if you're the sort that likes to read. Bobby Ozinski is probably right at the forefront of that stuff, but there's some other stuff around too. Get on Amazon. The nice thing is you can read some reviews, see what people thought was good. Check out the forums too. Reddit. If you haven't been on Reddit, there's a lot of weird stuff on there, but there's also some really good audio forums. And people tend to be pretty well mannered there. I can speak highly of the Live Sound forum. I'm one of the mods there, and we do everything possible to keep it flame-free and otherwise nice to visit. And I also hang around. I had been lurking audio engineering for a while and just started posting there and was warmly received. So they get some real nutcracker questions in there, and they get a lot of questions actually from noobs and guys just doing it at home. And they just hand out advice. They're not, in general, very snooty about it or, look down upon people because, let's face it, we all came from playing with junk from Radio Shack in our bedrooms at one point or another. Most of us, anyway. So, moving on. You just disappeared. Anthony had to go powder his nose. Let me rephrase that. Anthony...
Yeah, no powder on the nose. This is a family show, John.
We try anyway. So hard. Smart to noise ratio. Masters of the triple entendre. Beg your pardon. Okay. Next thing on the list of stuff to cover was riders that came up in conversation.
What rider?
Exactly. And a lot of guys are never so blessed as to have a rider, and it's almost a headache when you do get one because really, until you get into the very upper levels of things where money actually circulates around a production, it's just a wish list. It's a fairy tale.
Yeah. I would like a line array for my 16 by 20 foot bar. No.
Yeah, it's, the performer writes out a dream wish list, and then the venue lies about what they have and whether it works or not, and then they show up, and everybody gets mad at each other, and So, yeah, that's riders. I don't ever... When I get one, I try to be honest about what we have and what we're willing to do and how we're going to make stuff work together, and generally we're able to come to terms. The thing is, if people on both sides of the equation are willing to work, like if your solo singer-songwriter acoustic guitarist is demanding a PM5D for a coffee shop show, you kind of know the night you're going to have. Whatever. Brace yourselves. But, generally, if they're sensible...
Is the coffee shop big enough for the console?
I know. Sure, we got your console in. There's no room for patrons. Thank you, good night. But, if both people, on opposite ends of the phone conversation are willing to be sensible and work with each other... working out a rider usually isn't that big a deal. You figure out some solutions and you get things done. So that's riders. We didn't really need to talk about riders that much. Next on the list was our buddy Nate, who we actually know in real life. Insert laugh track here, I guess.
Thanks for using real words.
That was creepy. I kind of liked it. Nate,
you like it more the second time.
Poor lad that he is, wrote in sort of confused about. He was trying to look up the specs.
Nate, go to bed earlier.
Nate does need to learn how to sleep. I worry about that kid sometimes.
Yeah.
But he knew he was going to be working with some different mics in the future, so I'm proud of him. He took the initiative, looked up some spec sheets, found them to be completely unintelligible, and so he called in the air support. And I don't want to sound like I'm making fun of him, but like he sort of had dynamic and condenser and cardioid and hypercardioid all mixed up, mashed together.
It whatever hour in the morning though. I mean, like when I was starting out,
I'm sure if I was tripping on shrooms, I might think a 57 was a cardioid condenser, hypercardioid condenser too. But
prove it.
No, break them out. Boomy boom.
Hang on, I've got to leave so I can keep my day job. I don't know about you two.
We work at a church. What the hell are you worried about?
No, do they drug test at your church?
What?
Do they drug test at your church?
Not yet.
Don't do drugs, kids.
They're starting tomorrow for you, Joe.
In my next.
Didn't we cover this? You can't mix when you're messed up.
Drunk.
We only cover the drunk.
we covered the drunk and the ear compression thing. Yeah. Actually, in my next post that I've got to send to you for the playlist, it actually does have it in italics and bolded. S to N does not promote anything illegal. So
Nor
we're
likely
we're
illegal.
covered. That's totally legal and but no, when I was starting out, I thought a 57 was a condenser mic too. Like this is
It has that shape to it.
gunmetal and hammer like.
No, the hammer is the 50.
Yeah, but anyways, like when I started out, like I didn't know anything. I knew how to turn on the board, I knew how to turn channels on, and I knew how to put mics in front of cabinets and make them sound good, but I didn't know what the difference was between a dynamic and a condenser mic. I thought a dynamic mic had a shiny grill on it, and a condenser mic didn't. So I was like, oh, well, 57 is clearly a condenser mic, regardless of the fact that it actually has printed on the side of it, dynamic.
There's an internal switch.
Didn't
Kids,
pay.
go look for that.
You need a tiny set screwed.
I told my intern that I had an 8 ohm guitar head at a 16 ohm cabinet, and I sent him out to find me 8 more ohms an hour ago.
Oh, there goes the freaking copyright violations already.
Thank you, Church Sound Guy. Follow that guy on Twitter if you haven't.
What is it? At Worship Sound Guy is his Twitter handle. But yeah, I did the same thing. There was stuff that I thought dynamic mics were for vocals, and condensers were just for instruments. And I when I was 12 or 13, like that's what I thought the difference was. I didn't know any different. No one had told me any different. That's when I started learning how to do stuff. So I've been doing it for over a decade now. So I think I have the grasp on a difference. Like an 81 is definitely a dynamic mic, and a Beta 52 is definitely a condenser mic.
Don't
I'm
Right, and everything made by Neumann
Sorry,
is
people.
just...
We're going to listen to that.
People, well, yeah. But I feel like people listen when you talk. If I was me, I would tune me out when I'm talking.
Oddly enough, when you start talking in numbers, even I stop paying attention after the third or fourth
It's
one.
a Jewish thing. It's okay.
Got all the serial numbers of every
Most
mic
guys
ever
start
made
talking
in
about
your
a
head,
session, like, yeah, we went with this and that, and in the end, with Anthony, it's just a stream of numbers.
Yeah, 2 to 1 at -10, and
1176 on everything, and LA2A, and yeah.
yeah,
And a little more KFC on my KMFDM.
right.
If you can scoop the that sound out of it, form the while the singer changes octaves. No, not the
Yeah, by the way, just remember, John has visitation rights with Joe this weekend, so work that out.
I need it back Tuesday.
There's like an M for the weekend, so I can plan all sorts of hateful thoughts about you. And his little.
That's fine.
For those of you just tuning
He
in,
forgets
there's
when you yank the AC
a
out.
long-standing running gag about how Anth has my Joe Meek twin. Is it a twin Q? It's been so long since I've seen it that I actually.
It is in fact a twin Q that I have glued knobs back on and fixed buttons that didn't quite work right. And
it's getting to be one of his favorite pieces of studio gear.
really
In fact,
is.
the other day he was telling me it's some of the best money he's ever spent, and that I should get one.
I've got that. I've got a John's Beta 52 that he hot-wired from word of mouth somehow.
That was taken in payment. I didn't steal it.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. My Audix seems to have multiplied. Oh, wait, that's probably because you had it so long and I bought another. Because now my case is overfull.
And then you want to get rid of some? For a church donut, you want a
some
tax
guys.
write-off? What do you want?
I could get that for you. Want to see two church sound guys fight over who can give you a bigger tax write-off for a drum mic?
We're Pentecostal. Back that shit off.
Wait, somebody let some Baptists into our service. There were people in the back shouting and carrying on during prayer time. It was awesome.
Oh, Southern Baptists.
I'm saying.
Not
rather regular,
not
yeah.
Baptists from up here. Southern.
No. Baptists up here may as well be Methodists. Is it getting too deep? We may have ventured out past the line.
Yeah, we might. This might be church sound guy territory.
We're out past,
right now.
out past the buoys. We need to row it back into shore.
I'm a little out
some
of practice
letters.
there, so I guess I better just shut up.
As long as no one pulls my 401c3 tomorrow, we're good.
But how's your 401k?
A what? I work in a church.
Are you talking about a 414? Hang on.
So
wait, sorry, that you still don't know.
406. Yeah, we don't have. Yeah, they have retirement plans. It's called Social Security. Jackass.
yeah.
I don't think you're going to live long enough to see that.
Aw.
John and I is doubtful.
I actually got denied insurance in a retirement plan by Blue Cross last month. They're like, "You did what?" "Oh, we saw your medical records. There's no way we're going to insure you." I'm like, son of. I cleaned up.
I was more referring to that Social Security won't be paying out until you're like 97.
They'll still be paying out. It's the rest of the country that's got to worry about it.
There'll just be one guy working and everybody else collecting.
Get to work, Bill.
Ruben.
Bill Gates.
About time they paid.
Might be. I'm not. Never mind.
All right, we really got to steer away from the inside jokes. So getting back to microphones, in the article, I sort of laid out the very basic rudimentary differences between a dynamic and a cardio, or a dynamic and got myself twisted up, between a dynamic and a condenser, and then between the different pattern types of mic: cardioid, hypercardioid, supercardioid, etc. Omni. I didn't really get into
Continually
Omni.
variable.
Yep. Do we need to get into it? Read the article. If there's anything additional you want to bring up, like
break out a Bobby O book, and like I don't know, one of the books that I'm halfway through, like stuff that I already know, but stuff that's nice to hear explained from somebody that knows a lot better than I do how to use stuff and why certain stuff was done. But dig through some Bobby O stuff. I think the Audio Engineer's Handbook or Mixing Engineer's Handbook.
That's the problem when you read 6 titles in a day is you can't remember what you read or where.
Bobby O wrote it.
Yeah.
That's about that's about where we bottom out.
Like Christmas and Easter Christian. That's in the Bible somewhere. I know it.
God helps those that help themselves.
Kids, Omni does not belong near a monitor.
It can be done.
It can be.
It's not fun.
No.
You point it right at it, right?
Pretty much. Usually, you like put the mic like aimed.
If you could just hang it right over the monitor,
yeah, that's like the best.
That's the best.
For
you cut out everything from 20 to 20, like by 12 dB, and you're good.
Yeah, and then you get some feedback at like
crank up that
26
wedge. Just have them sing real loud at the wall.
Then set up a bandpass filter and get the high and the low actually reversed. Call it the inverted scoop.
Yeah. High pass filter at 18K.
And the low pass filter just above it.
This is a great podcast.
Sometimes sound guys just sit around and we're nutty. We're just nutty. There's no cure for it. I don't know if this is going to be educational at all. We might just...
This might be a war story.
This is just going to be... We're just going to point you to post after post on the blog and then shut it off after half an hour and save some server space. Yeah. Actually, I'm going to bring this up now because I'll forget at the end. Just made contact with... And it was funny because I started talking to this guy on Twitter the other night. Found out we had a new follow, so I was checking out the new follows for the week and saw this guy had a home recording blog that he had just started and had a significant group of followers. So we started, oh, yeah, how you doing? Oh, yeah, I just got started in July. Oh, yeah, I just started in February. How's your followers? How's your readership? Oh, pretty good, pretty good. So, so he does a podcast, he writes posts, and he's working on a product, actually, like some how to record at home video tutorials, kind of like we were talking about doing, so... Maybe looking into some of those to see how things go for him. But anyway...
Start crashing Brian's place once a week.
So I shot him a message like, hey, we should want to swap posts. I'll do one on your blog, you do one on my blog. And he goes, oh, sure, what's your site? I'm like, oh, yeah, you want to... Okay, it's Twitter. So he had stumbled on us on Twitter, but didn't actually realize that we were a blog and podcast and stuff. So I sent him around. So I'm still waiting to hear back from him. So we may have a new contributor.
You'll be waiting forever.
Catering to the catering to the home studio crowd. And yeah, that's all there was to that. What are you doing over there?
One bourbon, one shot, one beer.
Isn't one bourbon, one scotch, and one beer?
I don't know. I'm not really in the country.
I don't. My friend left a bag of dip here in like February. It helps. I don't know. Every once in a while, we're just like, well, there's nothing else to do. You want a dip? So me and Amanda will break out a bowl and some water bottles and dip for a while. And
that is so random.
It's real gross. It really is.
Yeah. Well, that was really awful. Glad we did it.
Yeah.
Try it again tomorrow, see if it's any better. Okay. I got
flag the tape.
I got half a bag left. You guys want to get on this?
Maybe that could be our first giveaway.
You got a bag of Red Man? Who wants a bag of Red Man?
Got to get some of that. What was it, Big League chewing gum to go with it?
That's so bizarre. I'm probably going to edit that out. All right, well, I'm going to keep
We're not even halfway yet. We got a lot of material to cover. You better hope we go over. Cut that out.
There's no law against going under an hour. Everybody else does. I mean,
Not us.
not us. We shoot for that hour and 23 mark every time. So anyway, next, one of the other things we got asked for.
Well,
actually,
just hit 2 hours tonight.
this has actually come up a couple of times. It came up in a couple of posts in the forums, and it started out. One of the questions Ika asked us was being able to plug Presonus digital console into a computer and having the onboard effects. Have you ever used a Presonus as just an effects box? And started out by saying, well, the effects in the Presonus are sort of, there's nothing wrong with them. They're adequate.
They're very basic reverb delay.
And
is there more than that in there?
No, just
Yeah,
your
there's some-
reverb
there might be
delays.
some
I think there might be some choruses in there,
maybe a
Okay,
flange.
but nothing like
No pitch bending.
real usable stuff.
Yeah,
we're
no,
talking about.
it's perfect for where the gigs that console is designed to do. It's
Right,
got,
that's what it does.
in general,
It
enough
does it well.
effects in there.
And bigger shows, I bring out the big boys.
Right,
Exactly.
yeah. Like I've never had a problem mixing on your stuff. Like the Presonus has always been good to me for reverb and delay. It's very user friendly.
Right. But we figured if you're set up with a computer, with FireWire, with a Presonus, why would you want to deal with the latency? Yeah, why would you want to deal with the latency when you could just plug in use VSDs in the box? And then we started thinking about it the other way, and I've never actually done it. I've experimented with it a couple of times. Tried to use auto-tune in a live scenario, and there was just too much latency for it at the time.
Tascam, the live one.
Yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, that was like on a Atom-powered netbook through a Behringer USB interface.
Yeah.
It just wasn't happening.
And that's
that
why the Tascam
USB
thing's
automatically
like
adds 15 milliseconds. Yeah, just plug it into it. Like you're going to get a 15 millisecond delay. That's from turning me on.
Yeah. There's actually a delay in the power light coming on, a noticeable.
Nice.
But there are, Waves has one, right? An external DSP.
Yes,
It's becoming a lot
so.
more common, to see in a live setup, an analog setup with an external DSP box, latency, minimal latency
3 to
compensated.
6,
Yeah. So it's done. At this point, you sort of need better stuff. Although I've seen kids cobble together some interesting stuff with laptops on stage.
There's some stuff like with bigger desks like the Avid Venue and the D series and stuff like that. Like really what it is it's a Pro Tools desk that you can use for live stuff.
Yeah.
So all the plugins, like it's all digital, all Cat 5, additional snake from front to back and everything, returns and everything. So there really isn't. I mean, like 10 milliseconds of delay is really pushing the top of the end of it, but you throw some auto tune on it or some Melodyne and stuff like that, and it's pretty realistic. Like you're still gonna have a delay from if you're using ears and stuff like we had. Something nasty. Like when I first started at the church, we were running from the stage to front of house, which is about 50, 60 feet, to my office upstairs, which is about 300 feet, back downstairs to front of house, which is another 300 feet, plus the other 50 feet back to the stage for the Avion mixes. So, but
the latency was in the Avion system, wasn't it? It's not in the wire.
Right. Yeah. No, it was definitely Avion system. So you could I could hit the click track to start it and hear when I was hearing it, and then hear it in the house. Totally different, distinct notes, or not different notes, but different timing.
A separate beat.
Right.
Wow.
So it looked like you're watching a music video and the audio wasn't synced up to it.
Huh.
So
how did the stuff sound through that? Like, I wonder if that was
for recording purposes.
Well, no, like in your ears. Like, was it noticeably squashed or thin or anything? Or
yeah, like
okay.
I mean,
that was probably the capacitance in the Cat 5 cable.
It might have been like it was. I don't know what stuff they used to run from top to bottom. I wasn't there when they did that. I know a lot of it definitely has to do with Yamaha pre's. Like,
oh yeah,
like
double whammy.
Everything sounds like it's chilly in here. Like you can't get those things to warm up. Like there's
Maybe that might be a selling point. We should tear apart old Yamaha boards and package them up as studio pre's. Like, get that chill mic preset, get that icy sound on your.
Do you want to sell anything with that, or you just want to do it?
We can sell it to goth rockers. Like, here's our Gravedigger model. It's icy cold. Feel the icy fingers of death around your vocals.
You just spin all the EQ knobs. They don't do jack.
Just to keep the producer occupied.
Yes.
Just let him spin whatever he wants. Just make sure.
Oh, the continuously variable pot, so as you can jump from 8K back to 1.
Oh yeah, it's what is it?
They go all the way
It's
around.
plus 15 to negative 15 in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah, that's what ours is. It's a 4-band EQ, lows, low mids.
Just go all the way around. There's no
which
stop.
sweeps low mids sweep from what, like 200 to like 2.5K, and then high mids sweep from like 400 to 6K, and then the highest sweep from 1K to 20.
Do you ever cross them over just to be?
Oh,
a jerk?
yeah.
All
all the time. Like, screw this, I'm swapping.
This one was closer to me.
I don't like the way the high mids sound on the high mids, so I'm going to take the high mids down to low mids, and low mids up to the high mids.
Damn those leaking capacitors.
That's only us real good sound guys. No tricks like that.
Yeah.
That's another one you teach the church intern. Now listen, not a lot of guys know this, and I'm going to tell you. And I might get in trouble with the union, so don't tell anyone I tell you. But what I like to do is use the high mid EQ on the low mids and vice versa. That's the pro tip, kids.
Well, I've done that a couple times. Like, wow, there's no 200 in anything. Pfft, I've got 3 EQ sweeps that touch 200. Boost it all 15 dB.
There's the warmth.
Wow.
And just make sure it's high pass at 190. Shoot that stuff all through the mains.
You're nuts.
I keep going for that nasally
How
feeling.
did we even get here? From where are we?
I think we started talking about pre's and home recording, maybe? Or no.
Oh, okay.
We had
All right.
passed that, though.
We need to learn how to leave a trail of breadcrumbs because my notes aren't ever going to get us back to the cottage.
White stones.
Intern.
Not breadcrumbs. Breadcrumbs are a bad idea.
All right. Were we going to talk about mic patterns? Or
I think we decided to not talk about mic patterns and pass
I'm
it
cool
off
with
to...
that. The motion carries. We've talked about the Presonus and external VST. We've talked about riders. Oh, yeah, we got one. I'm still not sure I understand where this guy was coming from. Like, I don't know. I used to think, I guess, when I was younger that to be a good sound guy, you had to be really smart and know, like, the absorptive factor for every surface. And
most importantly, you have to be the biggest douchebag on the planet. And then you can touch a console. That's definitely everybody in this room agrees.
it's a fair assessment. We're all nodding sagely. You can't see, we're not a video podcast yet, but if you can tell by the phase interaction between the 3 microphones, that 3 heads are nodding sagely right now.
So you mean douchebaggery and quality aren't the same? Hang on.
If they were,
no one said that.
we do a whole podcast on being nice. Or
Are you sure that having more people other than just me and you really makes the podcast more?
Somehow we're more sarcastic
coherent?
than ever tonight.
Maybe it's the dip.
I didn't have any.
No one talking about you.
All right. Well, anyway, our new friend, possibly still our friend after he listens to us tonight. We're not laughing at you, son. We're laughing near you.
Thank you,
We're definitely not laughing with you. We're just kind of laughing.
We're just laughing because we're tired.
Yeah.
So it's that silliness.
It's the after tour time.
Well, anyway, he was asking for some insight into speaker placement. He had heard a podcast and read some posts about the phase interaction between microphones, and does the 3-to-1 rule apply for speakers? And I thought about, I don't know, it's really sort of another dark art, like placing speakers in a venue. But what it basically comes down to is, can you beat the lighting guy to the venue and spot your stacks before he puts a tree there?
Or can you beat the lighting guy
with
at
his
the
tree?
venue?
It's a
and then take his spot.
On
carefully
bigger
assembled-
shows, yes, because you have to supply his distro.
But he's guaranteed first one of the venue then. But yeah, there's a pecking order, definitely. But really, your options are always way limited. I mean, there's always, if it's not the lighting guy, it's the promoter who doesn't want sight lines messed up, or you have to maintain a walkway for a fire exit. or the fire marshal will shut you down.
Or better yet, the bathrooms behind the band.
Yeah, that happens more than you would expect.
Yeah.
So speaker placement, at least in the lower realms of sound, is sort of, you're kind of locked into it. Either you're walking into a room where stuff's already placed, or you're placing it. You have no options as to where you can place it. You might be able to turn it a little bit.
They got some spike tape on the floor that you will be inside these lines.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
Yeah.
Our insurance company put these here. Please respect that.
But, so anyway, I sort of saw where he was going with that and wrote a post about something completely different, which is how to place your speakers where you have to place them and then mix to make the most of it. And the gist of it was just to utilize a stereo image to not have the same thing coming from both stacks and then reflecting and interacting. So, like, the more you can separate things out, the better.
Did you get into that whole, like, the Dave Rat philosophy of, like, obviously he's got a lot more money than
the twin thing?
Right, yeah. Like, you run, like, honestly, I'm interested to try it. Like, I know you sold all your stuff, but
next summer, if I get the other subs done, and another
right, well, not even the subs, just the extra top cabinets.
Well,
like, could we try?
But I have to have something to put the top cabinet on, Anth.
Ground.
Okay, so the highs aren't above your ears anymore. What happened here? We're going downhill.
That your knees need to listen to.
I prefer the ankles,
but like if we could try something out like that with just, we don't have flying rigs or anything like that. Like all of our stuff is essentially ground stacked all the time. Like I've never worked like with any of your guys' stuff. It's all ground stacked. Maybe up on a stage. Nothing's flying, regardless.
That's mostly an insurance thing.
Yeah.
We know how to rig, but our insurance company doesn't trust us.
Yeah.
At least not without another $5,000 a year.
Right.
Yeah.
If we make $5,000 a year,
yeah. If you want to go into a high school auditorium and rig, you need to take out the same insurance that the guys that hang out of helicopters to work on high tension lines have.
Hang on, I've been in colleges though where they're going through the handles with rope.
Shush.
Are those state colleges?
Granted, they are community colleges, but
there you go. Yeah. They lean over, but still, like I'd like to try something like that if we have the ability to next year, where one set of mains, like the interior is vocals and the exterior is instruments.
Yep. What he's talking about is the setup that Dave Rat did for the Chili Peppers, and he does it with twin line arrays on both sides of the stage. But the idea is to have the instruments in one speaker set and vocals in another one, and drums divided up in between them. And the reason for that is, and you can look this stuff up. His stuff is great. On YouTube, he's got a series of videos, and there's one where he shows how if you run a low frequency through a driver that also has a high frequency running through it, the lower frequency will make the higher frequency warble. He does it with a couple oscillators to make it very apparent, but it happens in any speaker system, which is why speaker systems are split up into subs and lows and mids. You have tri-amped, quad-amped, quint-amped.
And you hear that type of stuff, like especially in bar settings, like even stuff that I've recorded. Like I've got fairly decent monitors, but the fact that I'm running a kick drum and a bass guitar and the bottom half of Leslie and top half of Leslie and guitars and everything through two speakers, there's definitely a warble, or a wobble in my cymbals, and it's not a phasing issue. Like through meters on it, all that kind of stuff. There's not a phasing issue. There's not a mic placement issue. It sounds just a little bit goofy. And like there are certain other songs and albums I listen to where the same thing's apparent, but if I listen to it in my car, a system that's more spread out, they're not there.
Yep. That's another great reason to go with aux-fed subs. Which we go back and forth on this. The reasoning behind it is that
John likes to start fights with Gordon, and I like to watch and take bets.
I just don't really like it.
Yeah. But the idea is that, if you can completely separate the items that you want to have bass on from things that you don't want to have bass on, like vocals or electric guitars and things, if you can take all that rumble out, the more of that you can clear out, the better.
Low pass filter.
This what?
Low pass filter on the buses.
Yeah, guitars definitely sound better when you just cut everything below 1K right out. I just died a little inside.
Sometimes when you cut everything above 1K.
Yeah.
Right. That was one of the things that Brian told me when I sent him a record to master, or not a record, an EP to master. He's like, everything is good mix-wise. It's like, there's some instrumentation things I didn't like, but he's like, your guitarist just got like super bright. He's like 1.5K murdered me. Like I cut out like 4.5 dB on the mix to fix that. I was like, I didn't hear it. He's like, oh, okay. Like it was like
But it was, you sound on the wrong mix though, right?
No, I sounded the right mix, but like my room at the time was I was out in my drum room now. Like my big drum room, so I had the KRK E8s and then I had some Yamahas stacked on top of them because I didn't have more monitor stands and stuff. I was listening back to it, I was like, that sounds pretty good. Listen to everything else. Okay, and then when he got it, he's like, nope. Nope. I wish you would have told me, like, because it was a super late. Like, I sent them to it on Friday, and I needed them back by Saturday, so I could press them Saturday night, so I could sell them Sunday morning type of thing. He's like, I could have given you more mixes. I was like, I would have loved to have given you more mixes, but yeah, you got too much stuff in occupying one certain set of frequencies. Like you got everything just boosting up. Dave Pensado does that. He'll boost up like the 1K hump, like do a real wide Q filter on it to make it louder. And I'm sure he's definitely got better stuff than us, but at the same time, it kind of complicates your mix a little bit. Like stuff doesn't necessarily become as distinguishable. It becomes louder for sure. It becomes it's perceived as louder and more rock, whatever. But you lose almost some of the integrity of each individual instrument. You lose, maybe you don't want your kick to snap at 1K. Maybe you don't want your snare to snap there. You want to snap at 2K or 2.5. And your guitars, you really just want to leave flat and just give them a boost up at 18K just to get some air in there and stuff. But that's where it comes back to, if you got the ability to split the mains and keep the vocals just in one, or like maybe vocals and lead instrument in one, and then everything else in your second rack, or your second set of speakers, and then your subs on the bottom and stuff, like, kind of clears up the mix a lot, makes everything more distinguishable. You got to work with some comb filtering, too, between the two, but I feel like it gives you a greater advantage to mix everything a little bit cleaner.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie, I fell asleep halfway through.
But there were no numbers.
I think
You anti-Semite.
it's the cough syrup talking.
Oh, boy.
So yeah, I was thinking before we got in it, that was just so gross. Never mind. Just
No.
okay.
I don't have a water bottle. I don't know if that'd be better.
So going back to speaker placement, a lot of what I know and a lot of sound guys know is just from experience, from having done it. So once again, we're back to the learn by doing thing.
Yeah,
There are some.
As always, please throw away the JBL horns. Please, dear God, throw them away.
Again, there's that wish list. Like, hey, we got this great new rig. It was really expensive. It's JBL. Like,
Juicy, but loud.
juicy, but loud. Yeah, that's one way of putting it.
Juicy, jubilant,
Those are positive adjectives.
Jutastic. It stands for junk but loud. I'm not going to get that carried away.
3150.
One of my favorite sights of all time was watching it at the trail, watching a guy just straight shoot a horn right out of a JBL. It's just like it was stereo rig, so three, I don't know what they were, like 2 12s or 2 15s, and then a horn on top. Just watched a horn just shoot right out into the metal grate like that. Yeah,
Blew the diaphragm right out of it.
that was it. Like that's. Like I watched him look at it, and watch it fall down to the bottom, and go.
Time for
and go right back to mixing. Like, well, it happens once a show. What are you gonna do?
I don't feel like getting the ladder out.
Yeah,
We're out of.
There's 20 people in this room. That could be a safety hazard.
Anyway, there is some. The writing on acoustics isn't as common, just because it's so hard to boil down. Even the guys that really do it, it's still about half
master classes.
It's about half voodoo. But there are some books out there. Like if you are, I don't know, maybe Liam's really good at math. We're not. So we
Speak for yourself.
Yeah,
I just choose not to.
We work by ear.
Jew over here. No, but
Anthony's pretty good at math. I've never seen him do any.
Math minor.
You haven't had to see me do any. It just happens. Well, no, like there's definitely like there's a math side of it, and then past that, like you could do all the math you want, but when it comes down to it, you can do all the math you want, and it's still going to sound like balls.
Yeah,
I think I might have said something like that on the post. Like the best laid plans of mice and men still fall apart.
Right, like I've got like
because the contractor got the stud like 6 inches off, and well, that changed the resident point.
Not even like
You're screwed.
even with my new room, like when I hung the speakers in there, like I bought the speakers because I wanted the throw pattern they had. It's a 60 degree spread, and regardless of what the room specs tell you and all the math will tell you, the fact that the entire back wall is windows and the back half of the room is concrete tile, you can kind of correct for that a little bit
with curtains.
But right, yeah, you just hang curtains over all the bad areas. Yeah,
but the whole room,
right? Yeah. So like we cut down seating from 150 to 25, and
we just need to put all the seats right in front of the windows. Standing room.
Just you can stand on the seats, you can't sit on them.
Here, put this cardigan on. Stand in the back.
Corduroy, you have corduroy, whole corduroy suit. Any no, get out.
But you sit down front. You in the cardigan in the back.
But yeah, I did all the math on the room. Room should have sounded good. I have a null at front of house.
Nah.
And I can't move front of house.
Isn't that perfect?
Because front of house is where a floor pocket comes up. They never finished off and gave me all the plates that I wanted to, and they left. And I'm pretty sure we didn't pay them for all that stuff yet. But
you better hope not.
I can't move front of house because I measured my snake to front of house, so I only got a 150-foot snake, so I can't move it anymore. I can't pull it out. I can throw more XLRs on the end of stuff.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, but when it comes down to it, like, it should be perfect, but because of the way the room is hung, and even though the speakers are hung right, there's still a nasty phase issue, so I can't mix from front of house. I have to walk 20 feet.
That's a big null.
Yeah.
Maybe not 20 feet, like a 20 feet off center. So mix like 10 feet off the side. It sounds great over there. You're just like, you got to listen for, wow, there's no bass.
Well,
it's probably cranking in the front.
just pretend you're under the tent for festivals. Only I
right.
guess instead of no highs, you have no bass.
Pretty much, yeah. And I mean, they've got kick and bass. Like it's not a big room. It's 80 by 80, but it's a pie shape. So it's a quarter of a circle room with glass and...
That's 80 by 80? Huh.
I think so.
I would have figured, much wider than deep.
I don't know.
Just looking at it. But...
Yeah. But either way, yeah, you can take all the measurements you want, but sometimes math isn't going to tell you that the fact that you're working off of a concrete floor or a laminate floor and stuff isn't going to work in your favor. You can make adjustments for it and all that kind of stuff.
5'1" versus 6'1".
Right, yeah. Like, you got a guy that's a different standing height from everything else, so he's going to make certain stuff hotter, certain stuff quieter, and
yep.
Sometimes you can't correct for that.
I actually heard a good thing, and this sort of put into words what I've felt for a long time, is dividing up the pie of getting speakers to sound right in a room. It's like 70% placement, 20% treatment, 5 to 10% EQ. Whereas most of the time you're forced to nope, they go here. Nope, you can't hang anything up, and have fun with your EQ. So a lot of times it's 100% EQ, which is not the way to go. But you get locked into so many things, which is the studio guys have it great because you can move stuff around in your room. You can pull your table out from the wall. You can spread your speakers out, push them together, push them up against the wall, pull them out, hang panels up, do all kinds of stuff.
Speaking of which, did that 300 hertz crossover point for the horn ever change?
Oh, it's up above 7 now. Yeah, it's way up there.
Oh.
It helped
Scary
a little
thing
bit.
when you set up a crossover and you go 300. Who put that in there?
That's the spec. It's a big horn.
That's still
Carl.
He didn't put it there.
I know.
But yeah, that's my situation in my room. Is I'm stuck in mono. I have 19 boxes in the front of the room, all putting the same signal out and reflecting off things and interacting with each other. And I have a crazy room node at between 300 and 500. It's pretty
400 is pretty nasty.
Pretty wild.
In your room.
And the pastor stands right at a node, right at the spot.
Actually, he seems to be at a hot spot.
Right, not a null, a node.
Yeah.
The confluence, the flux, stands there with a countryman. So
And talks real quiet. So you got about 2 dB
window of mixing.
Right. You're like, at it. You're like, he got, nope. Bring that back down to -3.
So that's another great reason to go with aux-fed subs, because if I had him...
Well, come on, you have a 12 under your stage.
But he stands on top of it. He stands right on top of it when he preaches. I'd be out of luck. I'd be ready to lay down in the bathtub and slip my wrists if I didn't have aux-fed subs. So, where are we on time anyway? We've been babbling along here. 2 hours and 40 minutes. No.
50.
Okay. So we got 10 minutes to wrap it up and then 20 more minutes of bullshit after that.
Doesn't your boss listen to this? Can you talk like that? You're a Wesleyan.
I'm a Methodist.
Do they know that?
I don't know. They didn't.
All he knows
may
is
have
you can't
neglected
wear
to fill that
kilts
line
anymore.
out on the job application. Well, where I grew up in a little cow town. I mean, you could say shit in school and not get in trouble for it. It's not a curse word where dairy cows outnumber human beings in the county.
Cow dung.
I grew up in a town where Jews outnumber everybody else. It's not Manhattan.
You grew up in UB?
What?
You grew up in UB?
Pretty much.
Oh, okay.
right across the street.
Over on North Forest.
Yeah. Oh, you take three blocks up and you're in a temple.
The funny thing is, ladies and gentlemen, he's only 1/64th Jewish.
1/12.
And he didn't know he was Jewish until he was 22.
19.
Okay.
That's only because his hair curled.
Found it at Polish Christmas Eve dinner. And I'm sure anybody that's Polish out there listening knows that Christmas Eve is more important than Christmas